It is believed that in this lonely, beautiful, isolated place, Mass was celebrated during penal times. And I remember as a young child in the 1950s coming here with my auntie, with thousands and thousands of people. But of course my only interest was in Tommy Price's ice cream. But I also remember being here 2 or 3 years ago when there were only 40 people here. Yet, despite the vagaries of human nature, this place remains in the consciousness as a place where Mass was celebrated during penal times. But what do we mean by penal times? I think we could probably identify 2 phases. One was in and around the Cromwellian period. And if I'd been here as a young child in Cromwell's time, I would have been very, very afraid, and quite rightly so, because the Catholic religion was outlawed, and it was to hell or connacht. And people like the McGuinnesses and the Rooneys, names associated with the Diocese of Dromore, had to leave this area. Priests were not allowed, and priests were hunted. So during Cromwellian times, the Puritan sword and Puritan zeal was applied against Catholicism. Of course, when the Restoration came, then things became better for Catholics. In fact, there was a period in James's Parliament, James's Catholic Parliament in Dublin, when Catholic rights were restored, but that was very short-lived. And when Sarsfield surrendered Limerick, he got a very good deal in the treaty for Catholics. However, that deal evaporated very, very quickly. One reason being that the Pope, who had supported William, turned to support the French, and William obviously then was not as supportive of Catholics. The Ascendancy Parliament in Dublin relished this change, and penal law after penal law was introduced. For example, the only priests allowed in Ireland were parish priests, and bishops had to go upon pain of death. Therefore, with the penal laws restored and no Catholic churches being built, people again came to places like this to celebrate Mass. Probably not with the same sense of terror, but certainly with the same sense of being victims of the Ascendancy. The Ascendancy Parliament laws were not so much anti-Catholic or against Catholics as trying to protect the Ascendancy property and power. And it was to keep the Catholics in their place rather than to suppress them and get rid of them, as probably the Cromwellian penal laws were for. Therefore, bishops were not allowed, in the hope that if you didn't consecrate new bishops, the faith would die. Priests were not allowed, friars were not allowed, the orders were not allowed. The parishes did remain, but you were only allowed one parish priest to administer to the flock, and he was not allowed to cure it. Therefore, Catholicism was not outlawed, but it was made very difficult to practice Catholicism.